Italy just did something no one thought was possible. They claim they've solved Europe's immigration crisis. Some people say it's genius, others call it cruel. And the entire world is watching to see if this so-called solution is the future, or a disaster waiting to happen. So let's start with this. Do you think countries should shut the door on migrants if it means protecting their borders? Or should they open their doors no matter the cost? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because this debate is going to get heated. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button because we've got more geography, culture, and global shockers coming every single week. All right, let's dive into Italy's geography, history, and politics to understand how it got here, and why this new solution is one of the most controversial moves in modern Europe. Italy's geography is both its greatest gift and its biggest curse. Stretching down into the heart of the Mediterranean Sea, Italy is like a giant bridge between Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. If you're standing on the beaches of Sicily, you're just 90 miles away from North Africa. That short stretch of water has turned Italy into the front door of Europe. And for decades, migrants fleeing war, poverty, and instability in Africa and the Middle East have crossed the sea, hoping to step onto Italian soil. Because stepping into Italy means stepping into the European Union. Every year, tens of thousands risk the journey in overcrowded boats. And every year, the Italian Coast Guard pulls bodies out of the water. Entire ships capsize. Families vanish. It's one of the deadliest migration routes on the planet. And here's the shocking part. Despite the tragedy, the numbers keep rising. Let's talk scale. In just the last decade, more than 1.5 million migrants have arrived in Italy by sea. In some years, the numbers were so high that tiny towns in Sicily and southern Italy literally doubled in population overnight. Think about it. You live in a fishing village of 2,000 people. By the end of the summer, 3,000 migrants arrive. Schools, hospitals, housing, all overwhelmed instantly. The mayors of these towns begged for help. The European Union promised solutions. But year after year, Italy was left to handle the crisis mostly on its own. And that's where the anger started brewing. Italians felt abandoned by Europe, overrun by circumstances they couldn't control, and betrayed by promises that were never kept. Now, fast forward to today, Italy's new government, led by Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, announced something shocking. Instead of waiting for Europe to fix things, Italy struck a deal directly with countries in North Africa. Here's how it works. Migrants trying to cross into Italy will be intercepted, and instead of being allowed to land in Sicily, they'll be processed, or even detained, in facilities set up in Albania and North Africa. In other words, Italy is outsourcing the migration problem. They're saying, if you want to come here, you're not even stepping foot on Italian soil. You'll be processed elsewhere. Supporters say this will save lives, fewer dangerous boat trips, less chaos in small Italian towns, and a clear message to smugglers that the game is over. But critics? They call it inhumane. They say it turns desperate human beings into political pawns, shuffling them off to camps far from public view. Here's where it gets even crazier. Italy isn't the first country to try something like this. Australia did it years ago, sending migrants to offshore detention centers on remote islands. The UK is trying to copy the model, planning to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. But Italy is the first European Union country to actually make it happen on this scale, and that's why the world is paying attention. Now let's zoom out. Because while Italy is making headlines, the US is facing a very similar challenge. America's southern border with Mexico has become its own pressure point. Millions of migrants, mostly from Latin America but also from Africa and Asia, make the dangerous journey north every year. Just like Italy, border towns in Texas and Arizona see their populations swell overnight. Just like Italy, the debate has become one of the most divisive political issues in the country. And here's the kicker. Geography shapes both crises. For Italy, it's that thin stretch of Mediterranean Sea. For the U.S., it's a 2,000-mile land border. Different geography, same problem. Desperate people risking everything to cross. Smugglers profiting, locals overwhelmed, politicians divided. So here's the million-dollar question. Could the U.S. ever adopt Italy's model, outsourcing migrant processing to another country? Some say yes, others say absolutely not. And honestly, what do you think? Drop it in the comments, because this is where geography, politics, and morality collide. Let's get back to Italy. One of the wildest parts of this story is just how divided Italians themselves are. In the north, where wealthier cities like Milan and Turin thrive, many people say the crisis isn't their problem. But in the south, Sicily, Calabria, Lampedusa, it's daily life. These are the communities on the front lines, the ones fishing bodies out of the sea, the ones converting schools into shelters. So when the government announced its new plan, you can imagine the reaction. Some cheered, others protested, and international organizations like the UN slammed Italy for potentially breaking international law. Because here's the thing, under global agreements, people fleeing war or persecution have the right to claim asylum. By shipping migrants elsewhere, Italy may be dodging its legal responsibilities. But supporters fire back. What about our rights? What about our communities drowning under the pressure? It's a clash of responsibilities versus realities. And here's another layer. Italy's move exposes cracks in the European Union itself. Other EU countries, France, Germany, Spain, have been happy to criticize Italy. But when asked to take more migrants themselves, silence, excuses, closed borders. So Italy basically said, fine. If you won't help us, we'll handle it our own way. And that raises a huge question. Is Italy leading the way toward a new Europe or tearing the European Union apart? Quick pause here. If you're still watching, you clearly love digging into wild global stories. So hit that subscribe button right now. We've got more mind-blowing geography and culture deep dives coming. And trust me, the next one is even crazier than this. Back to Italy. The deal with Albania is especially controversial. Imagine this. Migrants from Africa set sail, hoping to reach Italy. They get picked up in the Mediterranean. Instead of landing in Sicily, they're flown or shipped to detention centers in Albania, a completely different country. Albania agreed to host up to 36,000 migrants per year in facilities paid for by Italy. It's a bold, expensive, and risky experiment. Supporters say it's the only way to break the smugglers' business model. Why risk your life at sea if you know you won't even set foot in Italy? But critics paint a darker picture. Overcrowded camps, human rights abuses, and the idea of Europe outsourcing its conscience to poorer countries. And that's where the controversy explodes. Is Italy saving lives, or just shifting the suffering elsewhere? Meanwhile, back in the U.S., debates rage over border walls, asylum laws, and migrant buses shipped across states. The parallel is striking. Both countries, shaped by geography, are wrestling with the same fundamental question. How do you balance compassion with control? It's easy to say, help everyone, until your town's hospital collapses under the strain. It's easy to say, close the borders until you see children washing ashore. That tension between humanity and survival is why immigration is one of the most explosive issues of our time. Let's get real. Italy's solution might not last. History is full of examples of big promises that collapsed under pressure. Smugglers adapt. Migrants find new routes. Politics shift. Already, reports show that despite Italy's crackdown, boats are still arriving on Lampedusa. Desperate people are still risking it all. And here's the thing. When geography makes your country the front door, there's only so much policy can do. Italy can build walls. America can build walls. But water and land don't care about politics. Geography always wins. So where does that leave us? Italy has thrown down the gauntlet. They're saying, we will not be Europe's dumping ground anymore. The world is watching. Other countries may copy them. or this whole experiment could collapse in chaos, leaving Italy more isolated than ever. Either way, it's a turning point, a line in the sand, a gamble with millions of lives in the balance. And here's where I want to hear from you. Do you think Italy's immigration solution is smart and necessary? Or is it cruel, short-sighted, and doomed to fail? Tell me in the comments below. I'll be reading every single one. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Because the next deep dive, we're covering another shocking story that's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about geography, politics, and the world we live in.